and gentlemen, welcome back to another broadcast of The Weekly with me, Neff. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't and share this video with a couple of friends and colleagues. Helps out a lot. Trying to reach 1,000 subscriptions and all of your support is appreciated. Wanted to talk about box office expectations for Ballerina, which isn't off to a great start right now. We'll have to see where things go and how everything progresses as far as the box office and if it has legs or not. But it is underperforming at this point, in my opinion, with the $90 million budget, despite the film being good. And in my review saying, you know, it is a solid addition to the world of John Wick, to be honest. I thought Armas did very good in the lead. Like I said, Keanu Reeves, John Wick, is in this movie. And I thought the film overall was a good piece. But yeah, it seems to not be doing as well. It's tracking for about 25 million as it currently sits right now. It's at 10.7 million. And like I said, on a budget of $90 million. So let's read into maybe a couple factors and then I'll give my thoughts on what factors I believe are the reasons why this film might not be doing so good out the gate. Ballerina struggling with projected $25 million opening weekend. While the numbers might not be catastrophic, the production budget was $90 million. Expectations were notably higher for the first cinematic expansion of a billion-dollar franchise. So what happened? A series of missteps, actually. Chief among them might be Lionsgate's baffling late review embargo, who gave the perception that the movie is not a good one. Still, for many curious audience members on the sideline, Ballerina was always going to be a tough sell. The absence of Keanu Reeves in a lead capacity was a sticking point for them. Ballerina might have been doomed not by quality of the film, but by concept. In a franchise that lives and breathes via Reeves' Wick, a female-led spinoff was always going to be a risk. Just look at last year's Furiosa, which was also a really good movie, I must say, ladies and gents, and a movie that I rated pretty highly but did not do well at the box office, so there's a point there. The muted opening has already raised questions about the future of the franchise's expansion. Lionsgate had grand ambitions of building out the John Wick universe. The Continental on Peacock was one piece, Ballerina another, but now those plans may be paused or at least reevaluated. Ultimately, Ballerina's $25 million debut tells a familiar story, and modern franchise filmmaking spinoffs need more than brand recognition. They need a compelling reason to exist at this point because people aren't just going to flood the theaters because of the name. And it was just titled Ballerina in the beginning, and then they added from the world of John Wick. So very interesting. I was actually doing some homework on the actual inception of Ballerina and the writer's idea behind it and all of the connections, which was really cool. It was a screenplay that was written in 2017 after Shay Hitton actually saw the John Wick 2 trailer. It inspired him to write this, and then it got rewritten to match events that happened in John Wick 3. So very cool background there. And so that's where we are right now with Ballerina. Like I said, good film, worth the money, worth watching on the big screen in theater. If you haven't seen it, go see it, and then tell me what you think about that down in the comments. Like I said, I thought it was a decent flick. I think the glaring issue that wasn't brought up in this reading here is the fact that the film got pushed back a year. This film was supposed to release June of last year. There were some reshoots, some news going on around that, which had Stileski coming back. Then Lionsgate said that there were not reshoots. And so maybe the extent of the reshoots was embellished a bit, but there were reshoots because there was a pushback. So that kind of tells you what was going on there. And I believe timing is everything. We've talked about that before when it comes to film releases. I believe the pushback actually hurt this film. If you actually look into when the film would have released initially, it would have been 1 year after John Wick Chapter 4. So you know, the excitement would have been there for this to just watch something even relatively related to John Wick at that point in time. That's when John Wick was really at his height of popularity. And I think the box office would have actually served a lot better because John Wick is in this film. But with that pushback, you know, it's all about the recency bias. People don't really even remember events from John Wick 4 at this point in time. So when they see this come out, they're like, oh, well, okay. And then they kind of showed him in the trailers. If you're not privy to what's going on in the trailers, you would think John Wick's not even in this film. So when they say from the world of John Wick and there's no John Wick, your average person is going to say, well, where's John Wick at? And they're not going to believe this at all and not even be invested in this film. But if you are a fan of the John Wick franchise, this is definitely a movie you want to see. And yes, John Wick is in the film. And so I think that could be a contributing factor to why the film is not doing well at this point in time. It actually got an A- on Cinema Score. So people seem to think this film is good quality. And like I said, it's a good film. I can't reiterate that enough, but that doesn't always translate to the film making money. There's a lot of things that go into a film making money. I thought the marketing was there personally. Every time I turned around, there seemed to be some new Ballerina clip, especially with the last 2 weeks leading up to the release of the film and the premiere, of course. A lot more trailers than they should have put out. We've talked about this with Hollywood at this point in time. And speaking of trailers and clips, more clips for Jurassic World Rebirth have been released, as well as Superman. So all of these films are heating up with the overindulgence of putting out content from the films. I don't know how that's going to affect movies in the next couple years, but I don't think it's going to be a positive effect. But as far as Ballerina is concerned, ladies and gents, go watch the movie if you like John Wick's. Definitely good. I stamp it. Yeah, we'll have to see what this film does. I hope this film does make money, but with that $90 million budget, you're going to need more than a $25 million opening because you got How to Train a Dragon next week, and I've heard positive things about that film, so families will flood the theaters for that. And as you know, there can be significant drops for movie performances in their second week. We've seen drops as bad as 40 to 60%, even higher than that. So going to be a challenge for Lionsgate and Ballerina. Also, another thought that I had was the fact that with that pushback from a year out for Ballerina, which was supposed to come out last June, you had a lot of films in between that time come out that did not do well, and they really hurt Lionsgate. And so Lionsgate is in a very desperate position financially at this point in time. The Crow was a big hit and Borderlands was a bigger hit, and not in terms of positivity, ladies and gents. Big bombs, and that does not help, especially when you have a film with the weight of Ballerina, very popular, that is associated with John Wick, and it needs the money allocated towards it to perform overall. This is another instance where the money that is put into a film really does matter. You want to capture the audience with that marketing to get them to just invest in the story that you're trying to tell. Unfortunately, in this day and age where we're at in the entertainment industry, there's a stigma with it at this point in time, and also just because something is good doesn't mean it makes money, and just because something does good doesn't mean that it is actually a good quality film. So very interesting. Money is everything. Marketing is everything. And you just got to get people to buy into it. We've seen this happen on both ends. But with that being said, ladies and gents, please subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. Share this video with a couple of friends and colleagues. Please like this video if you did like this video and enjoyed the information that I put forth for you. Some more insight on what's going on behind the scenes. Things that most people are not privy to but might find interesting if they want to look into them. I always enjoy providing that type of information for you. Ladies and gents, please ring the bell for notifications for more updates from me, Neff, and be safe. It's Neff signing off.